Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining our November national webinar, LinkedIn Business Solutions for Realtors, hosted by Brian Trachel. Allison James Estates and Homes is a nationwide brokerage which offers 100% commission and 100% support. Why split your commission if you don't need to? You earned it all, so shouldn't you keep it all? Our goal at Allison James is to always give back to our agents by providing education, training sessions, live webinars, live events, and full broker support with the most up-to-date tools and technology available. We are always looking for new tools and ways to be able to provide them to our agents at a lower or discounted price, so you can keep your hard-earned money for the important things in life and the people you love. With plans starting at just $35 per month, we have plans that cater to agents of all levels of production. As Allison James continues to grow, we will be providing more of these free tools to help you grow your business. Allison James Estates and Homes is ranked among RealTrends top 30 independent brokers in America. We currently have over 1,100 agents and are growing every day. Thank you to all of the outside agents who have joined us today. We feel that training should be free, and we welcome you to join any of our upcoming webinars or live events. Today's webinar is sponsored by our preferred lender, Movement Mortgage. I would now like to introduce Shelley Hoyseth, Senior Loan Officer with Preferred Lender Movement Mortgage. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning, Sheena, and good morning, agents. One thing I wanted to talk about is the elephant in the room. A lot of you, after the election, everybody I know feels a lot different about it one way or the other. But one thing that we do need to be aware of, if you didn't already know, is that post-election, almost immediately, the stock market went through the roof. So that caused an immediate bonds sell-off, which made interest rates pretty much increase overnight by 3/8 to 1/2 of a point. So people that were at, say, 3.75 on Tuesday morning might have been at 4 1/4 on Wednesday morning. So I just wanted to let you guys know that you're going to be hearing most of your clients that are new and moving forward are probably going to be somewhere in the low 4s now. Some FHA, VA might still be in the high 3s, but for the most part, it's looking like that's kind of, we're going to be back in the 4s for a little while. At least that's what experts are thinking, as the feds are also still talking about their tapering off the federal buy of bonds, which will cause interest rates to go up slightly, they're saying, in December. So that's kind of been the talk all year, and I think a lot of people just kind of started ignoring it and poo-pooing it. But it definitely looks like now that you know, the stock market's so high that it might be swinging that way. It may cause for increased inflation, which would be more incentive for the feds to start to taper off. So just be aware of that as your clients are asking. The rates are going to be somewhere around, you know, 4, 4 1/4. If you don't already have a good mortgage app that you like to use, I've got an excellent one, and it automatically kind of puts in the interest rate of where the market is in general, and it automatically calculates mortgage insurance for various loan programs rather than simply being a rate and term calculator. It's specific to the program, VA, FHA, conventional. It's really awesome, and you guys can be co-branded on them if you'd like, and it has your name, your information, my name, my information. They click on the app, they can play with it. I can tell you clients use this all the time and they absolutely love it. So if you are interested, if you don't care if it's co-branded, I can just text it to you. So shoot me an email with your information. If you do want it to be co-branded, then send me a photo and your contact information, and you can just email that to me. I think my email is there. It's shelley.hoyseth@movement.com. So let me know if you'd like a copy of that app. It's very easily shared with your clients via text or email. So it also kind of works if you're co-branded as a little digital business card, so to speak. Now, because of the rate increase that kind of means, you know, the talk is that the refinance market is probably over or slowing down for a while, except for maybe people that haven't refinanced in a number of years. So as realtors, be on the lookout for refinance lenders who have made their business doing refinances to start calling on you, because they're going to be wanting to jump into the purchase market. So they're going to be calling you and touting all kinds of cheap rates or who knows what. But just be aware that there are going to be a lot of lenders out there that really aren't familiar with the purchase process, and you know, stay loyal to, if you have a good purchase mortgage lender, or of course I'm happy to offer my services at Movement Mortgage. We have built our whole business model around being a purchase mortgage company. Of course we do refinances, but our focus and our business model is on the speed of closing and being realtor-centric and working with realtors and their clients. So that's that for me. If you have any questions about what's been going on in this crazy bond market or with rates, or you want that app, again, just shoot me an email and we will connect. Okay? Have a great day. Bye-bye. Oh, I'm going to send it back to Sheena.
Thank you, Shelly.
I know.
If you would like more information about Allison James Estates and Homes, please contact Alicia Aratari in our National Growth and Development Department at 941-677-2544 or by email at joinus@ajicorporate.com. With that being said, I would now like to introduce Brian Trachel. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Sheena. Thanks for having me on today. And can you hear me okay?
Yes, I
That's
can
okay.
hear you. I'm trying to switch the screen right now, but my computer was freezing on me. Okay, let me know if you have it.
Okay, I'm going to click show my screen.
Yep.
Okay, great. So everyone can see me now?
Yes, we can see.
And everyone can hear me now. Great. Okay, well, thanks for having me on this webinar about LinkedIn. I've got a lot of tabs open, but here's my profile. And I'm not sure exactly, you know, everyone's level of LinkedIn, but I do want to, you know, debunk a few myths out there, especially the one that people think LinkedIn is social media. In my opinion, LinkedIn is strictly for anyone who is in sales and business development. There is a social media aspect to it. However, the things I'm going to show you are not the norm, and we're not going to talk about a lot of posting and commenting and things you would think about in social media terms. You know, some of the things I hear all the time are, I have a LinkedIn profile, I don't know what to do with it, I have too many things I'm trying to manage, and it's just one more thing. What I'd like to see at the end of this webinar is that it becomes your number one thing based on you know, the opportunities you can create with using LinkedIn. So I'm going to take you through a lot of information here today, and some of it's going to be house cleaning, and some of it's going to be how can I get more business. At the end of the day, that's why we're doing this. And the great thing about LinkedIn is, from, you know, the social media perspective, it is a business site. It's but I don't consider it your resume. I consider it your showcase, your professional online presence. And the main thing is, when you have a profile, you need to make sure you're in 100%. So I'm going to give you a few examples of profiles and what to do and what to have in there so we don't make those mistakes. And the first thing I want to talk about is, well, everyone says, I'm constantly getting invitations from other realtors, or my competition always wants to connect with me, and I don't want to. My answer to that is, you do want to start connecting with everybody, because the more people you connect to, the more you become what's called a second degree to other people's networks. So for example, you'll see here that I have 500 plus connections, and the reality of that is I actually have over 5,000 connections. So if you connect with me today after this webinar, during this webinar, you'll be a second degree to 5,000 plus connections. So I'm going to show you a quick little trick right now. As you can see, I have 500 plus connections, but you're wondering, how many do I actually have? There's a little button here. You're going to click View Recent Activity. And then what you're going to do is you're going to see how many followers I actually have. The reality of that is that's how many connections I have. So if you're ever curious if someone you're working with or someone you're looking to start working with has a decent sized network and is it 501 or 6,000, click on that button and it'll tell you. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to get into the privacy settings. But the first thing I want to show you why we're going to go into these privacy settings is because when you look at other people's profiles, it'll show you how many connections they have. This particular person I'm going to show you has 500 plus connections. I share 6 connections with them. Now they haven't changed their privacy settings, so what that means is I literally have access to their entire network. So we're going to lock that down today, so make sure that you do not give access to your competitors to go in and start making friends with your connections. We've all worked hard to build those relationships and we don't want to give those away. And the reason why it's important is because I can click on this all 500, or I can search this person's network, and let's say I know that she works with account managers, so I can type in account manager, hit the search button, and I found 108 results. So when I'm prospecting, if I already know that she's in the same space as I am and really has the same client that I do, I don't have to necessarily go out and hit the streets. I can go through that network and find 108 people, click on each profile, and decide if I want to set up an appointment or a call and do some reading on that. So that's the one reason we're going to do that. All right. Next thing we do is how do we change that setting? You're going to go to the right-hand corner where your picture is. We're going to go to privacy settings. And then you're going to jump into the middle here, privacy. And then you're going to go down to, it's the second one down, who can see your connections. And we're going to change that from your connections to only you. So again, how do you get there? Where your picture is, privacy settings, go to the middle, privacy, who can see your connections, only you. And since we're there, we're going to change a couple things too. We're going to change sharing profile edits. Because right now, if you decide to do any work on your LinkedIn profile and you don't change this, you're going to let your entire network know about every single change. So if you've ever seen people working on their profile, it'll say, Brian Trachel just added a new skill. Brian Trachel just added a new activity, etc. That's why that's happening, is because they had the yes button here. So we're going to change that back to no. And then lastly, profile viewing options. How many of you have been on your LinkedIn profile and it has said, Brian Trachel just viewed your profile, and you're wondering to yourself, well, who is he and why is he looking at my profile? So I always am a fan of going down to the third function, which is clicking private mode, anonymous LinkedIn member. So if I look at your profile now, it'll say an anonymous LinkedIn member looked at your profile. And the reason I say that is because if you are a real estate agent and you're getting ready to research your client, but you didn't get around to it to the last minute, the last thing you want to do is look at someone's profile 30 minutes before you meet with them and have them know that. So try and go in private mode to save yourself from telegraphing your plays. The downside of doing that, however, you won't know who looked at your profile, but you have the option to change this on a daily, hourly basis if you wanted to. So if you wanted to look at someone, make it anonymous, and then go back to your particular one here. So if that makes sense, you can definitely change. You don't have to leave it at that. But I always play it safe and go anonymous LinkedIn member. All right, so now we're going to go over to the profile. And I'm going to talk about a few things here that we want to make sure we have. There's nothing worse than going on a profile and seeing the contact information isn't correct, it's the wrong company, there's no picture, there's no summary. So I'm in edit mode. So you're always in edit mode when you're on LinkedIn, unless you change it, and I'll show you how to change that too. But what I want to say is over by the contact information is right here in the right-hand corner, is make sure you give all the information possible that someone can connect with you. So again, make it easy for your customer to buy from you. All my information is here. You wouldn't even need to be connected with me to contact me, which is great. So give them that feature. And then you'll also notice under my websites, I simply put Brian Trachel Facebook, Google+, and YouTube. A lot of you may currently have company website and personal website. Now that's fine, but the goal of anyone in sales is to get your customers to remember what you do. So what I've done is, instead of clicking on personal website, I chose other. Other allows me to take advantage of this extra box where I put in Brian Trachel Facebook, and then Brian Trachel Google Plus, and Brian Trachel YouTube. So that's one way to continue to get your customer to remember what you do. So you want to wire those things together. I do have a background in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I do drip a little bit of that into my LinkedIn profile. And of course the summary, the thing I will tell you about the summary is make it your elevator pitch. So whatever you would say if you were to stand up and introduce yourself, literally type that out word for word and put that into your summary. So you want to have a little bit of a welcome rather than a third person or a bragging site. We want to know can you help me? How can you help you build my business? It's a networking site. And then of course add a bunch of images. And if you do want to add images, this is the little icon. In case you're looking for it, again, it looks like this little box with a plus sign. That's how I was able to get all of these images into my LinkedIn profile. But what I want to do is I want to give someone great curb appeal, so when you come to my LinkedIn profile, immediately you see I have 500 plus connections, I have media, I have pictures, testimonials. All I really want to do is actually have you connect with me. So if I'm giving you enough confidence that a total stranger is looking to connect, and you look, we're in the same industry, etc., and then you scroll down a little bit, you'll see I have tons of video testimonials. And mine's a little bit overkill, but my rule of thumb is more is better on LinkedIn. Definitely want to put as much as you possibly can in here, because it also helps your search engine optimization levels as well. Okay, so there's that. As far as the summary goes, I'm going to scroll down a little bit more, take you to the profile. Again, mine is very long. My running joke is you want your profile to look like a CVS receipt. Okay. Now skills. This is going to be a great education in skills and endorsements. A lot of you are probably getting endorsed by others for skills, and a lot of times you might not actually know the person, and they're saying that you're definitely good at something. Right? Sorry, I scrolled down here. So as far as the skills go, you want to be an expert. 99 plus is the mark of saying, hey, I'm an expert, I know what I'm doing, and other people have said so. So I'm 99 plus in most of those areas. Now LinkedIn will allow you to have 50 skills. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, I didn't put 50 skills down. And the reason I don't put 50 skills down is because I'm spread too wide. If I narrow my skills to my top 15 or 20, it allows me now to get to 99 plus that much faster. So that's a good tip for you to look at your profile and say, maybe I have too many skills on here, or maybe I have duplicate skills. Now, the endorsements are going to turn into a free prospecting drip campaign for you, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. But I want to make sure you're very clear on what your skills are. If you're in real estate but you've only been endorsed for real estate 3 times, how is a customer going to make an educated decision where your competitor might be 99 plus? So it's about stacking your deck and making sure you have all your dots and your T's crossed. Okay, so what I like about endorsements is I play something called the endorsement game. So I'm going to pull up a person here who has been in real estate for quite a long time, but according to this, she's only 38 people have endorsed that person. So again, can it make a difference when someone's getting ready to list their home if they look at your profile? I don't want to take any chances on that, so try and get up to 99 plus as fast as possible. So what I'm going to do is, this is someone who I want to be top of mind awareness with. And a lot of us in this industry know for sure, maybe it's happened to somebody on this call, you've bumped into an old friend, you've asked them how they're doing, and they said, oh, we just sold our house. And you're wondering, why didn't they call you? Well, maybe because we didn't keep in touch or we forgot. LinkedIn allows us to keep in touch a lot better than most social media sites or CRMs do. But what I do is I play what's called the endorsement game. I keep a list of my top 20, 30 prospects in front of me, and once a week I endorse them for a skill. This particular real estate agent has worked with me, so as you can see, they don't have 50 skills, but let's pretend that they do. So What I'm going to do is I'm going to start my Monday and I'm going to endorse this person for real estate. So I just hit the plus button, my picture goes there, and what happens is that person will get a notification over here saying Brian Trachel just endorsed you for a skill. It didn't cost me any money. It took literally half a second. But what it did for me was it created top of mind awareness, because that real estate agent just got a notification in real time saying Brian Trachel endorsed you for a skill. Plus I'm saying something nice about you, and it's hard for you to basically say stop endorsing me for things, right? So we're going to welcome those as many as we can. So that was Monday. So next week, again, I do it again, and then I go to week 3, and then I go to week 4, and then down the line I go to week 50. So imagine dripping on someone for free 50 weeks out of the year saying something nice about them. And the great news is not only do they get the notification on LinkedIn, it also pushes the notification to their Gmail or your Yahoo, whatever email that you have, and it'll say, in case you weren't aware, Brian Trachel endorsed you on LinkedIn. So now I'm getting 2, and then there's always the mobile version too. This is a possibility for every endorsement. I'm getting 3 top-of-mind awareness opportunities. So that's why the endorsement game is very, very popular with people that I work with, because it's a low-cost way to keep in touch. And I'll show you later how to categorize that. One of the things about LinkedIn, I'm going to segue, is education. Now, education, a lot of people have different levels. Some people went to college, some people took a little college, some people didn't go to college. So what I want to show you is right here under education, it only says education. It does not say the word formal before that. So in my world, all education counts, especially when it's industry related. So a lot of you probably have had, different courses you've taken in real estate. So first off, this person has a formal education, but then they have their real estate license. So that's issued by the state of California or the state of Colorado, wherever you're listening from. But in order to get your real estate license, you have to take a few courses to satisfy that. And what happens is you list all those courses, and what you'll notice is that the word real estate also shows up about 20, 25 times. So we have the ability to also add additional education. It keywords our profile for our industry, and it starts to show our client beyond our formal education how invested we are in our industry for being a better agent or a loan officer or a title rep or whatever it is that you may be. Or she's also a GRI graduate, SRES, ePro, Certified Distressed Property, Short Sale. So I'm sure a lot of people have those designations or similar ones. Perhaps you attend Mike Ferry. Perhaps you go to Joe Stump by referral only, Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, and then of course your high school. So where I'm getting at is that we take a lot of these things for granted, but all our education counts. If you spent money for something, put it into your profile and then highlight it with your clients. And when you highlight with your clients, you also want to highlight the organizations that you're a part of. Now you'll see a lot of you maybe, if by default you're a member of the National Association of Realtors, let's put it in your profile. The California Association of Realtors, local boards, chambers of commerce, things like that. So I want you to really go deep into your experience and put that into your profile. A good profile should take you 4 to 6 hours to complete. I've been on LinkedIn since 2004, so I've spent a lot of time really tweaking it and fine-tuning it and pressing every button. So just kind of get in there and do it once and done. Once you're done with it, it literally will sit there until something else changes in your career. All right. A lot of people ask me about, well, I have all these testimonials on Zillow, but I'm not sure how to get them on LinkedIn. So what I've done is I've put it under the project section and simply labeled it client testimonials. So you can bring them in, cut and paste, and it starts to really build out your profile. The other thing is volunteering experience. A lot of us have volunteered or contributed to organizations, and what's nice about it is you get all these cool icons here, so it kind of gives you some visuals. So start to think about, have you ever donated clothes to the Salvation Army or Goodwill? Have you ever done a beach cleanup with Surfrider? Have you given money to the Ronald McDonald House or anything like that. So literally everything counts on LinkedIn. And every time we put something on LinkedIn, we want to make sure we give a synopsis or explanation of what the volunteering organization is about. Again, more is more. And then, of course, languages. Most of us speak English, but this particular person also speaks real estate. And a lot of us, maybe get a chuckle out of somebody out there, but the reality is you do speak a different language. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. Plus, it's another opportunity to get a keyword in there. So, put in real estate or loan origination or sales and things like that. The big thing is the interest. So when we get into our prospecting piece, interest is going to be probably the most key thing outside of recommendations. So under interest, you want to list all the things you like to do when you're not working. And then what happens is we're going to turn LinkedIn to Match.com for business. All right, we're going to find your ideal business client using these particular things. So, all right, so I'm going to go over to another profile here. And one thing I want to add is publications. So if you have a blog or you've been featured in articles or your company's been featured in a magazine as the top 100 companies to work for or whatever, this particular individual is a title insurance rep with Chicago Title, and they have a lot of publications. What is title insurance? Why do I need it? Et cetera, et cetera. But those go under publications. So if you're a company, Allison James has information about first-time home buyers, for sellers, loan programs, et cetera. Those are all technically publications, which you can cut and paste and put into your profile under publications. And I'm sure you all know where I'm going with this is what happens with the keywording. It, again, continues to stack your profile very heavy with real estate industry-related keywords. So that's under publications. Okay. Now we're going to talk about recommendations. Now, recommendations are really great because a lot of people don't read them because they're way at the bottom and they don't want to take the time. But the thing about recommendations is that when someone gives a business recommendation, what they're really saying is, this is what I most value in a business professional when I work with them. So not only is saying that this person is a good person, but they're telling you what they thought was great. And once you do that, you really start getting their DNA and the keys to their language patterns and how they want to be sold to and what it is that's important to them. So the rule of thumb that I give everybody is before you even pick up the phone or meet or talk to anybody, you want to make sure you look at their LinkedIn profile. The first thing you're going to do is look at their interests, which are usually here. And then second, we're going to go to the recommendations, because this particular person, who I'm not even connected to, has received 24 recommendations, but they've also given 8. So I would actually spend 3 to 5 minutes, maybe even 7 minutes tops. And what I would do is I'm going to copy all of these. So I just for example, I would copy and I would open up a Word document, paste them in there, and what I'm going to start to do is go through the profile and look to see if there are any what I call trigger words and things about them that's their language, right? So here's one, her professionalism would be an asset. And I'm doing this on the fly just because of time. So sincere desire to learn quickly. And if I go through these 8 recommendations, so I'll go back to the top, I will find the same words will show up more than once. Once I get those words, I know that these are the key trigger words to my selling presentation. So, you'll find people that value time, dependability, detail-oriented, etc. But when I have this information, you have to be transparent, because I don't want to go into an appointment knowing I know more about the person than they think I do. What I'll do is I'll simply say, before we met, I read your LinkedIn profile, and as a business professional, I utilize LinkedIn most of the time to really make sure I'm clear as far as what's important to you. And how I do that is I read your recommendations, and from your recommendations I can tell that you're someone who really values business relationships, customer service, and someone that is very organized and very mindful of price. Would you say that's correct? So now you're getting them to say yes to what they already wrote and get their commitment to make sure that you are right in your assessment, and it shows them that you did your homework. And some people may say, well, that seems like you stalked them. Well, that may be, but I stalked them and told them I did and the reason why I did it, and that hopefully will give me a better opportunity for them to say yes to my product or service. Because that being said, I can show them the feature benefits of whatever it is I have catered to what they most value. So hopefully that all makes sense. Again, it could be a 7-minute exercise, but it really would behoove you to read their profiles before you meet with them and have that type of information available to you. So one other plus about recommendations is that when you write a recommendation for somebody, what happens is you actually end up on someone else's profile. So I'm going to go click here to view profile. I'm going to change the mode because right now I'm in edit mode. So now I'm actually looking at what everyone else sees. And we're going to go all the way down here, and you'll see on my profile under this particular heading I have 64 recommendations. And Bill Johnson was the last person to recommend me. So Bill Johnson and Darla are now occupying space on my LinkedIn profile. So if you have a high-profile customer, referral partner, real estate agent, loan officer, someone like that that you want to make sure and let everyone else know that you're working with that person and that's my go-to, write them a recommendation because chances are you'll hang out on their profile for a very long time. So it's a good way for you to get visibility. Again, Bill's getting visibility right now on this webinar, and so is Darla, simply because they're on my profile. So again, it's a great idea to start writing recommendations for people. What will happen is they'll start recommending you back. And a long time ago, I worked for a gentleman named Brian Tracy. Perhaps some of you have heard from him. He wrote quite a few books on business success. And I got the job with Brian Tracy because I reached out to him on LinkedIn, ironically. So that's why I'm a big believer in this. But what I want to show you is that, again, my profile is very, very long, and it's very, there's a method to the madness. Everything has a reason for being here. So I'm going to go down a little bit further. But at the end of the day, we're still talking about recommendations. And right here is I've received 225 recommendations and I've given 70. So fairly decent ratio. I mean, obviously you'd like to have it a little bit, a little more than given 7. But the reason I haven't given more is because people haven't asked me. So if people ask me for a recommendation, I'd be more than happy to do it, but they haven't. But in essence, I ask all the time, and I've received 225. And the reason why this is powerful is because when you get into a situation where you're bidding with 2 or 3 other competitors for a listing or another opportunity for a refinance or whatever it may be, you can always say, before you make your final decision, I always tell my clients that you should really do your research on LinkedIn and look at their skills, look at their profile, and look at their recommendations. Because what I've really created now is a list of references with 225 phone numbers that I'm happy to leave with you that you could call for yourself. So I try to posture myself in a position that I do not have to sell or convince them to work with me, whereas my 225 recommendations will do the talking. So that's a great opportunity for you to start driving people to your LinkedIn profile so that they can see who you've worked with in the job that you've done. Okay, so I want to get into a couple things here on the prospecting, just based on time. Make sure you get your money's worth here. All right, so when we talk about groups, you can join 50 groups on LinkedIn. Now, what's great about these groups is they have a ridiculous amount of members. As you can see, I'm a member of the Real Estate Networking Group. There are 574,000 members here. And I could go here onto the start a conversation, and I could say, is there anyone in Carlsbad that would be interested in taking a class about new real estate strategies, etc. Whatever the case may be, is that here's an opportunity for you to take one post to put it out to 574,000 people, and then add 49 other groups of people with similar interests and see what happens. So I know I said I wouldn't talk a lot about social media, but the strategy here is that there's tons of groups out there for you to join based on interests as well as industry. So try and get in the habit of joining a few groups. You don't have to necessarily engage on a regular basis, but if you want to get something out, you have a special listing. Let's say you have a horse property. There's horse groups on LinkedIn nationwide, worldwide, or for people who may be interested in your property. So it becomes another area for you to start highlighting in your listing presentation and how you're going to market the home. You can now add LinkedIn as one of those resources for you to do that. A lot of us are looking at doing relocation or working with a corporation. And here in San Diego, everyone always tells me, well, I want to work with Qualcomm, and because they have so many employees. So here at Qualcomm, there's 25,500 employees on LinkedIn. I can click See All Employees. So what I'm going here for is that if I want to send a packet, a mailer, or figure out who the decision maker is, I can go follow a company. And you can follow the company up top. You can follow people, companies, or groups. So everything is here as far as your search functions go. But I want to go over here to location because I'm in San Diego. And now I've narrowed down my list of Qualcomm employees to 10,591. That's still too many. So what I really need to find out is who is a decision maker. So I'm going to check out who's in human resources. And I have 309 people for human resources. That's still quite a bit, so I'm going to use what I call my X factor, which is where we're going to talk about the interests and how they come into play. I'm a certified yoga instructor. I enjoy practicing yoga, so I'm going to start with reaching out to people who might like the same thing I do. And now I found 8 people who do yoga at Qualcomm in HR. So that's where I'd start my search. Then I would click on their profile, and then I would start doing my due diligence as far as what I need to find out. Let's see if their contact information is there, their company website, not their personal, and I'm going to go down to the bottom of their page and see that when this person is not doing human resources, they're into parenting, yoga, energy psychology, aromatherapy, astrology, golf, movies, reading, nature, and the beach. So the question I ask everyone is, do you find that information valuable if you were to have an appointment with this particular human resources individual, especially if you were only going to talk about relocation or earning an opportunity to do a home buying seminar, etc. You could literally tell them that you read their profile and you have some similar interests and things like that. How long have they been practicing yoga? What's your sign? We can kind of do it that way. I mean, have some fun with it. It doesn't have to be a stiff, rigid business site, but these are insights into people, especially when you're selling homes and looking to connect with them outside of just dollars and cents. And there's also a advice for contacting. So she actually gave you her own personal email address, so you could connect with her using that, or you could send her a personal email and not even have to connect on LinkedIn. So the beauty of that is going into the interest and finding people who like to do the same things that you do, and eventually getting an opportunity to talk about business. But we don't want to go in for business strictly. Okay, we can also find alumni. So if you went to a particular college, it'll actually tell you where everybody is. So if I wanted to find people in Hartford or Connecticut or San Diego, I can just type in San Diego. And there's 83 people that went to Eastern Connecticut State University here in my backyard. So that literally gives me an opportunity to reach out to fellow alumni in San Diego and have a conversation, and the conversation goes something like this. Hi Patrick, this is Brian Trachel. I happen to be on LinkedIn. I was curious how many other Eastern Connecticut State graduates were living in San Diego County, and I did a search on LinkedIn and I found your profile. I see we actually are in the same industry and share similar interests, and I'd love to have the opportunity to have a chance to meet with you and see how we can help each other. Great, set the appointment or whatnot. But what I don't do is I don't connect with the person first on LinkedIn and then do nothing. I call them first, and then once I've talked to them, I ask them, is it okay if I connect with you? Typically, a cold call, which I call a room temperature call because you have all the information about the person, is about 7 to 8 minutes long, and that's the shortest one I've had people experience. The longest one has been 45 minutes. I have found that most people welcome work interruption to talk about things like surfing, yoga, music, food, wine, beer, anything but work. They'll take the time as long as you're showing up professionally and in a manner to to conduct some business. So I'm going to close that out with your college. We talked about the formal education. I'm just closing these things out and back to the profile. So now we're going to talk about the searching and how to do that. Okay, so we're going to use the word Carlsbad. And let's say I'm looking for a particular client that can afford, a $600,000 home, and maybe they're a sales manager. And then I'm going to throw in a different factor that likes to play golf and went to San Diego State. And I found 257 people in Carlsbad that have the title sales manager that play golf and went to San Diego State. That's a lot of leads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down to Greater San Diego here. And it still brought it down to 235. So technically, I have 235 leads I can go through and decide, is this someone I'd like to connect with? So I'm going to look at their profile. National Sales Manager at the Lodge at Torrey Pines, 500 plus connections. If you remember my trick, we're going to click View Recent Activity. And we're going to see that they actually have 1,284 connections. So that's a good person that I would want to network with. They may not necessarily be your client, but they can put you in a good position to refer business, especially someone who hangs around the golf course. So then I'm going to go down. Went to Colorado State. As you can see, there's no interest here. Her golfing was up there with the job she has, so she may not like golf, but she's in the golf industry. She's given 2 recommendations, so I would read those. We have 8 shared connections. I look at the group she's in. Influencers. So she's following one of the Shark Tank guys here, so she might be into entrepreneurship, and she's also following Porsche and a few other Volkswagen and a couple other companies. So this is when you follow companies, it allows you to collect icons. So what I usually tell my clients is, follow sports teams, different companies, different industry-related icons, because it gives people what's called iconography, and that allows you to get some insights into who they are, what they like. So if they don't have interest, you want to definitely go down to those areas and start doing some work. So we'll do another search here. We'll search San Diego for CEO that likes music and beer. So there's 69 people that fit that profile, and then all I'm simply going to do is start making friends and call these people up and tell them why I was reaching out to them and see how we can work together. Okay. Now, why is this important? Well, what's great is when you go farm an area, and many of you have probably been farming areas for a long time, or some of you just a short time, or some of you don't have a farm at all. The thing about it is that when you do a farm of 300 people and you take each name and you put it into LinkedIn, what you're going to find is you're probably going to find 120 of those people have a LinkedIn profile. So imagine going door knocking in your farm knowing who the person on the other end is, where they went to school, what their what their current position is, etc. And now you can use that to your advantage and acknowledge that, or at least when you plan your day, know what doors to go to. But if you spent 2 hours and you literally did the research and the data entry and created that farm, what happens is you can start mailing particular information to a door rather than to an area. I use the yoga example because what happens is that if I found 200 people in my farm and 80 of them do yoga, then I might want to think about putting together a yoga program once a month to that area, or consider some type of fitness program, or people that like to run, organizing things. You can start creating events for things you like to do. How many of us are so busy that we're not getting to the things we want to do because we're working? Well, what I'm proposing is that you start combining the things you like to do and find those people that like to do them with you, and they eventually become your clients because it's low pressure. They always will say, what is it that you do for a living? And then once you connect with them on LinkedIn, we can now endorse them for, what, 50 weeks, right? That's what we said earlier, and drip on them so they don't forget what we do. So the potential is enormous, especially with the groups. And if you do an open house, you can also farm the area and see who's also living in the area when you go door knocking. And again, I did a little example. I looked up 33 names on LinkedIn around an open house that were owners, and 20 of them had LinkedIn profiles. What I also found out was another analytic that I hadn't anticipated. All those people in that area were all teachers. So you're going to start finding little pockets around your farm, and that certain people in certain industries start to migrate to based on whatever the relocation is or referral. So if you can start tapping in to those resources, you're going to get more referrals. But again, this is all well and good when you start going out and using LinkedIn to start prospecting, but if your profile doesn't show up well, I don't know if they're going to take you seriously or not. So you really want to focus on a good profile, definitely, when it comes to that. So I definitely want to reiterate the fact that you have two options. You can go in 100% or you can delete your profile, but there is no medium ground, because I always ask the question, based on your LinkedIn profile as it stands right now, would you do business with yourself? And if the answer is no, then we need to fix that. And the reason I say that is because when you do a Google search, you type in your name, the first thing that comes up for me is my LinkedIn profile. So in essence, it's my website, it's everything that I have shows up first. So if you don't have a good SEO, or you don't have a lot of website marketing, LinkedIn in reality is the first contact your customer will make with you. And I'm going to give you an example of people. Another thing is, when people start connecting with you, as you can see, I have 5 requests. What I'm not going to do is just accept each one and then throw you into my network. I'm going to let you sit there until I decide we're a good fit and we want to work together. Here's someone I haven't responded to since November. And there's no personal message. I always recommend putting a personal message. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and accept the invitation. But what I want you to do is take action immediately. So here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to click on a profile again. Now I opened up, we're now a first-degree connection, as you can see here. Before we were a second degree. Now only I see this, and of course now all of you see this, but when you're on someone's profile, LinkedIn has a relationship box, okay? This allows you to put in notes. Connected, likes the color blue, whatever whatever notes I put in from the profile, so I can put those in there. I can set a reminder to follow up about selling home. Do that in a month. Hit save. I have that reminder, and then I can call what's called a tag. So you have the ability to tag everybody in certain categories, and I can have different categories for different things. So I'm going to put a category under real estate industry. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, since she just connected with me, I'm going to endorse her. So now she's going to get a notification that Brian Trachel just accepted your LinkedIn invitation and Brian Trachel just endorsed you. So I'm already engaging, and I still haven't spoken to this person yet. So I have her as a tag, but let's say she also likes to do, go back to my yoga example. She likes to do yoga. So now I have someone in my network who's in the real estate industry that likes yoga. So 500 plus connections. If you have 500 plus connections, I'm going to ask you this question too, which is, do you know all 500 of those people? And if the answer is no, then I would make it a point to spend the next couple days tagging and categorizing everybody in your network and then reaching out with a phone call and engaging with them before you go to the next networking event, to the next industry mixer and the next thing, trying to meet new people. Because the reality is these people have already said yes to you. All we have to do is figure out where a common ground is. And a lot of times it's simply by going on LinkedIn and seeing where that is, picking up the phone and introducing yourself, and then of course endorsing after that. So let's go back to the home page. So I connected, and now I forgot, and I have a yoga event happening or a real estate event happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my network, and I'm going to go to my connections. And there's going to be a pop-up here. So there's my contacts, and then all of this information, work anniversaries and birthdays. So I scroll through that, and I'm going to say, okay, LinkedIn, I need to filter all my contacts by the tag. And I need to look for people under my yoga tag because there's an event coming up and I want to invite my top clients to it that do yoga. And of course I want to practice myself too. So let's see. There it is. And then simply what I'll do is I'll go down here and I will message each one, cut and paste, but at least it gives the impression that it's a personalized message because they won't see that it's going to anyone else but them because you cannot BCC on LinkedIn. You have to do it one at a time. Or I can simply make this my call list and call everybody one at a time and invite them to this event that I'm putting on. So it's really a great way to filter and dissect your connections. And again, you can have a lot of tags because as you can see here, I've created tags for literally everything. So, and some people have multiple tags as well. Sorry, I have a phone call here. I apologize about that. Hold on. Okay. Well, that's Murphy's Law. Okay. All right. So we have the tag. Again, I can put in people that tried it on their own and called me back, etc. But you can have prospect, real estate, 8 different tags if you'd like to. So, like I said, if you have over 500 people, you want to go through their profile and make sure that everybody is dialed in before you start meeting new people. All right. So, go back here. I'm just going to kind of summarize a few things. All right. So I have 4 pending invitations. Here's an example of someone I haven't accepted because they don't have a picture. Even though they have 500 connections, there's no reason for me to connect with them. So this is probably someone who's a spammer or something like that, but I use it as an example because, would you do business with this particular person if you had, if they reached out to you on LinkedIn, or would you accept them? So I want you to create your own parameters on as far as who is a good connection for you. All right. So I'm going to open it up to questions. Sheena and I talked earlier because I'm throwing a lot of information at you at a very rapid rate, and I want to make sure that everyone is digesting it as well as seeing how they can put it into action. So I want to be here to either refresh on something we talked about earlier or give you some applications in real life.
Yep, so you guys, there should be a question box on your screen. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and type them in there. I'll give you guys a few minutes. So it looks like we have a few questions here already. One is from Marie Jose. Her question is, where is the project tab to put the testimonials? I can't see it.
Okay, that's a great question. Again, you're going to go, can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can still see it.
Okay, all right. So you're going to go to Edit Profile. Let me try a different screen here. Edit Profile. and you're going to see I'm in edit mode here. It's still searching. Well, underneath your edit mode is you'll see where it says patents and posts. There's a place where you can add more sections. So where it says add section to your profile, be discovered for your next career step.
Okay.
So that's where you would go to do that, and you would click on publications, and you would add the publications under that section. There's 22 sections of the LinkedIn profile, which allows you to add, testimonials and different things, but they're all there. They're underneath your contact information, and then they should all come up. There's advice for contacting, etc. So that's where you would put in the line item and say client testimonials, and you'd bring them in from a different source.
Okay. Next question is from Valerie. She said, when you add a note under relationship, are you the only one who can see the notes?
That's correct. No one can see that but you.
Okay, perfect.
And yeah, and just be mindful if you are pulling up someone on LinkedIn and showing somebody else that you can also minimize that too. You don't want them to see your notes.
All right. We have a few questions. Will a replay be available for this webinar? Yes, this is recorded, so whoever wants the webinar, I will send it to you guys in an email, and we also do post it on the AJI University website.
Yeah, and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. It looks like a few of you have reached out already and message me after we connect with some questions, or feel free to pick up the phone and give me a call. I want to make sure that you are using it, because it literally is a great resource for you, and it's going to save you a lot of time and hassle when it comes to prospecting.
Hey Brian, I have a question. This is Shelley.
Sure.
I have a, you'd probably say a medium LinkedIn profile, and I don't have specific contact information like my cell phone or anything on there. And the main reason is because, I guess the main reason I haven't expanded my profile is because it seems like the most people that are accessing it are recruiters. And so it's constant phishing from recruiters. That's the most contact I get on my profile. So is there any kind of trick to make your profile available to the people you want, but not necessarily have recruiters calling me 3-4 times a day? And I'm sure sometimes, realtors may have, if you're doing a lot of business, you're going to have the same thing where you're going to have brokers and team leaders calling you constantly. So is there any way to?
I mean, the answer is it's inevitable, it's going to happen, but if you wanted to minimize it, what I would put in your summary section, I would put a line saying, please no recruiters.
Okay.
And at least you're putting something out there that maybe it's like putting a no solicitation sign on your business, right? At least it's not going to ward off everybody, but at least a few people will take note and say, okay, she's pretty clear that she's not looking to make a move.
Okay. Okay.
But the thing is, you still want to accept their invitations, because especially the recruiters, because they're very well networked. So the more people you add to your network, the better off you're going to be.
Right, because like you had mentioned earlier, I've been hesitant to accept a lot of the invites from other loan officers and recruiters and that type of thing, because I didn't know if it was a good idea to have all the competition, what you said was kind of interesting.
Yeah, once you change your settings to only no one can see your connections, then you want to just open up the floodgates and let everybody in.
Without anybody seeing the connections.
Right. Once you say only you to their connections under privacy settings, then you can start accepting everybody to come in, because all they're going to see is who we share in common. That's it.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so you're safe, but don't accept it until you've changed those connections. That's the main thing, is because I could look you up and see if you may change the settings or not. But yeah, you don't want to give people access to your client base at all.
Right.
But that's a good question. So, and I'm happy to take a look at your profile afterwards just to see. I won't pull you up now, right?
No, you can. A lot of the people on this call might already be on.
Okay, all right. So let's spell it Shelley, S-H-E.
L-L-Y.
LLY. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things you talked about that I have not completed, and
HE.
It's HOI.
HOI. Right there. So yeah, you and I are a second degree connection.
Uh-huh.
And then what I'm going to do, since we're here, and for everyone who's still here, this is my real life of what I do. I would say, Shelly, great. I'm going to send you a connection request. So I'm going to hit connect, and I'm going to say we've done business together, because that allows me to bypass the system. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to put in the standard message, because that's not a good result. You could say no to me. So I'm going to put in, hi, Shelly. Great speaking with you today. Anything, and I'm going to send that off. Okay. So always put a personal message. So we'll go back to your profile. Yeah. So in your summary, I would put in first person and say I am a mortgage professional rather than Shelly is, right? Mm-hmm. And then I would put more bells and whistles as far as pictures and programs and things like that, and then get your skills down to probably 15, 20, and then okay, so you're in good shape. So right now you and I share 26 connections, so you've already changed that, so I can't go into your connections to start prospecting.
You can't? So you can't?
No, I can only see that you and I share 26 connections. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, and so I haven't asked for recommendations or anything in a long time. Like most people, I set it up and then leave it and set it and forget it. I know that's not the right thing to do.
No, it really isn't. I would really want everyone to revisit their LinkedIn profile, because again, Google yourself and see how it might be affecting. We're not even going to know if it's affecting us or not. But there's a potential that people are passing over us because we're not showing up as good as we can. And there's really no reason not to, because it literally is a couple hours and then it's once and done for the rest of your career.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, from that standpoint, I think it's the same. But again, it's really, you can always beef it up more. Take a look at Tanda's profile and you'll see what I did for her, because I actually did her profile.
Okay. All right, thanks.
So there you go. So well, good. Okay, well that's good. So we'll get some changes there, and I'll wait to get your acceptance, and then I'll endorse you for some skills when you say yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions out there that are coming through, Sheena?
Yeah, it looks like we have a few more. Harold asked, is there a way to get a report from LinkedIn on which users are searching for real estate in your area?
That's a really good question. Actually, I haven't looked at those analytics. If you do go to the home page, you can see your profile rank and things like that. But I've never seen an analytic as far as what people are keying in. That would be something I'd have to do some research on. So perhaps he can even join a group or ask that question in a group. About a LinkedIn group, because there's tons of those too. So I don't know the answer.
Okay. Marie Jose asked, can you show what to do for people not to see our contact, meaning our connections?
You mean take it through the privacy settings?
I think that's what she's asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I'm happy to do that. So the numbers are 2, 5, and 6 if you forget, but what you do is you go to where your picture is. It's the only place in the right-hand corner, and you'll see privacy and settings.
Okay.
And then,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Then you'll go to privacy. It's in the middle. Click on privacy, and then I go down. Number 1 and number 2 is who can see your connections. I click on that. And then there's only 2 options. Your connections are only you. You're going to select only you. And then also the profile viewing options are down to number 6, and number 5 is sharing your profile edits. You want to put no. So no. And then you want to go profile viewing. You want to be anonymous LinkedIn member.
Okay. Kelly asked, does LinkedIn help you with SEO the more you post?
Yes, the more you spend on LinkedIn, the more opportunities you get to engage with people. As you can tell, right here, my profile has gone up 3% in the past 30 days. But if you're posting and doing more, it can go up, 10%, and it keeps going up. So it definitely starts keeping track of your activity. So the more you comment, like, contribute, search, they want you on there as many hours as you possibly can. So you do, in essence, get rewarded for being on LinkedIn more often.
All right.
Which I think is better than better than Facebook, because again, it's more business related, so it's going to put you in a different category as far as algorithms go. But that was a great question.
All right, so it looks like we are not having any more questions right now.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have any questions yourself, Sheena, or anything you would like for me to go over one last time, or to help get the stickiness taken care of, so people are feverishly working on their LinkedIn profiles the next couple days?
Yeah, actually, where do you see your profile rank?
You go to the home page, which is where you show up anyways. The minute you log into LinkedIn, it goes to your home page.
Okay.
Then you'll see over to the right, you'll see your profile rank.
Okay, perfect.
And that's within the company too. So it tracks you within your own company. It'll say you're ranked number 30 out of all the Allison James real estate in the country. So it's kind of a neat thing to track, to find out who's looking at what, and then it'll tell you who the number one person is, and then you can say, well, what are they doing? And this probably will say that they're posting more often, they're having more engagement, which is kind of piggybacking on the question earlier.
Perfect. Actually, it looks like we have one more question in here. Should we post our listings or not?
You should absolutely post your listings, and I would put them under projects. Let me give you an example of somebody here. He's not with Allison James, but he's a client of mine, and I worked with him on his profile. And I'll show you how they're doing the same thing. Eventually, I'll get down there. Anyone I've worked with has a very long profile. So we put them under projects. And if they're active, we'll put active. If they're closed, I still put them on here because they're keywords. But basically, it'll have all of the listings, especially when you're in the high-end luxury market. You want to highlight that on your profile. Even if you say you do it, people need to see that you do it. So this is an example of all the multi-million-dollar listings that this gentleman had, as well as all the people involved on the team. You're able to tag them into your profile to show your business partners. So again, that's a great place to put it.
Perfect. It looks like we don't have any more questions for today, Brian. I think that's about it.
Okay, well, I think everyone who, if you're, like I said, if you're still on and you want to connect, I definitely will say yes, and happy to help you with any questions you may have. And it's been a great opportunity to work with you. I know we've been planning this for a while. And again, I am local, so any of you are in Carlsbad and do want to meet offline, more than happy to talk about that. So thanks for having me on, Sheena, and thanks Alicia as well.
All right, guys, thank you everyone so much for joining us today. A huge thank you to Shelly and Brian for hosting this month's webinar. Have a great day, everyone.